Do you mean? So if your battery was charged, say a 10 kilowatt battery and it was full, you'll have 10 kilowatt in that socket. So at least you'll never be stuck. You can pull an extension lead, charge a phone, plug in a wee light or whatever. That's the first solution. The second solution is a solar changeover switch. It'll be a box like this, and it'll be connected to your electric fuse board. And this box will reactivate the solar. It'll switch off the grid, and it'll reactivate the inverter and the batteries. And as long as there's good sunlight, it'll power your house and it'll charge your battery. The biggest downfall of the solar changeover switch is that when does the storm happen? Normally the winter time. When's the less production? The winter time. So, look, I have a 22 panel, I have a 9 kilowatt system on my roof. I know there was days last year in December time that I only generated 2 units a day of a 9 kilowatt system. Do you know what I mean? So that's a 5 kilowatt battery. So 2 units is not going to charge that battery. So that's the one downside, and people need to understand with a solar changeover switch. It all depends when it happens. Do you know what I mean? Look, listen, if it's great weather the day after, yeah, you might be able to charge the battery and run the house, but you really need to be cautious of what you're running. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And bear in mind, because the inverters are only 5 kilowatt, you will only be able to use 5 kilowatt throughout the whole house with a solar changeover switch. So if you've got heat pumps on and electric heating or electric cooking, you're not going to do all of that through a 5 kilowatt inverter. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's the downside to the solar changeover switch.
What about hooking on the generator?
The third solution is the generator. Right? The third solution is a standard generator. You get a changeover switch, you wire for a generator socket, and you can buy a generator. Sorry, I'll just reflect. The solar changeover switch is around about €1,500 to install it. As I said, the battery with the socket with the battery is 300. The generator changeover switch, we can install that. We've done in the last storm, and we supplied the generator for 2,200. Do you know what I mean? And you'll always have power, and you'll have 8 kilowatt of power. It's just like as if the grid's not there. Do you know what I mean? You know, that's the third solution. Do you know what I mean? And I would probably go with the third solution if it was myself. Do you know what I mean? You know, I know it's a nice idea, nice concept to have the solar changeover switch, but it's just when you need it, will it work?
Is it diesel one you supply or petrol?
Petrol.
Petrol.
Yeah.
What do the exhaust for it? Do you need a good exhaust out for it?
I will. As we know, it's on wheels, so it's sitting outside or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not in the house. No. It's external. Do you know what I mean? You know. All right. So yeah, that's the changeover switch. Just briefly and very quickly, that's the 3 solutions for it. Do you know what I mean? You know. Any questions on even any of that stuff now again?
The 5 kilowatt inverter, they used to be bigger. Is the 5 the only one you can do? Anybody can do what?
It's not that anybody can do or not. We can do whatever size you want.
Right.
It's the restrictions of the ESB. The ESB, with an NC6 application form, it's the maximum 5 kilowatt inverter. If, let's say, for instance, your house was you have high demand, I don't know, B&B or something, do you know what I mean, and you needed a lot more, you can apply for an NC7, and you can put up to whatever your MIC is on your ESB line is. Let's say it's 12, most houses are 12 or 15. So you can actually put 15 kilowatt inverter in there, and you can put up about 40 or 50 panels, but you have to apply it to the ESB to let you put it up, and then you have to put on a device to limit it back to 5 for the export, because you're not allowed to export no more than 5. It doesn't matter what your demand is, you're not allowed to export no more than 5. Do you know what I mean? So there's no restriction on what you can put on, but in general terms, for the simple process NC6 form, it's a 5 kilowatt inverter. Does that make sense? Yeah.
What is it, about 1,000 for the NC7?
NC7's £1,000. Yeah. Just to get approval with ESB, and for them to tell you you have to put a device on to limit it to 5 kilowatt. Do you know what I mean? All right. So, any other questions around any of that?
Is there any type of regular maintenance required?
Not really. On the biggest grief we had was internet. People would lose or change the internet provider, and whenever you move your internet provider, because all these things come app-based, so you have to reconnect the system to the app, and that was the biggest headache that we had there for a while. Do you know what I mean? But other than that, there's no real maintenance. Look, it's a good idea, absolutely. If you can, get the company back once a year, making sure your strings are working, making sure the panels are being productive, making sure the batteries firmware is up to date, making sure it's working properly, on the system. I would definitely recommend the service, but potentially you don't need it in the, in the first year or two. But definitely you do need it looked at. You couldn't just leave it for years, like
Same as your boiler, you get a
same as the boiler. Yeah, same thing. We would definitely promote it. All right. Anything else? So we probably touched on a lot of the stuff. Access your energy needs, demand, the right system, the size, the savings. We sort of talked about that. Christy mentioned as well the sweet spot. Usually, look, 12 panels is a good system. As Christy says, 14 is better, but 16 is sweet from there, sort of. And then you can actually oversize a wee bit again if you want to. All right.
What's the optimal roof orientation?
South.
South.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying 16, is that 16?
Panels. Yeah.
Okay. And
16 panels is 7 kilowatt.
7, okay.
Yeah. All right. Also, like taking advantage of the incentives of the grant. The SCA grant, and also the big one. There's no VAT on solar. Which is great. Especially the first time round, you can buy the batteries, hot water diverter. You don't pay no VAT on it. A year later, you have to pay VAT on the battery. So as well as the incentives we talked about with the battery, obviously the big one as well is the VAT. No VAT on the first time round. Okay, and then look, choose a reputable installer. Look, guys, we've come across literally a few different scenarios where unfortunately we do have to go and look at a few jobs which we didn't install and make good. So be careful out there. There is certain things that we take a lot of care, we take a lot of time on the health and safety side of it. The installation side of it, making sure we maintain all the regulations of the SCA. It's all certified and we keep up to date with everything. We try the best panels, even down to the sizing of the cable. We make sure we always use the higher grade cable. A lot of companies are still out there yet using the minimum size cable. You talk about batteries going on fire, potentially cabling panels. That's it's not all the battery's fault all the time. So just be wary. And do a bit of research into the company and do a bit of time. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's right. So just be wary. Okay, and obviously, we talked about the maintenance, the roof space, the angles about the roof, and the other thing that some people don't. We talked about the optimizers, about seeing it, but the other thing about the optimizers is the shading. People forget about where the chimneys are. Maybe you have panels to the side of it, and the sun comes round. So, because we talked about the strings as well, there's 2 strings. When one panel goes down, they all come down. It's the same thing for shading. If one panel's shaded, the efficiency of that string comes down. So whenever we do our design and whenever we do our survey, we take into account of any shading or anything like that there. And we will advise you might have to put on an extra optimizer or 2. And look, optimizers are €60 a pop, or €80 a pop. Yeah, something like that there. So but some companies don't even think about it. They just think, sure, just fire it up there. So look, there's lots of consideration that we do, and some people, unless you ask the questions, some installers won't tell you or be forthcoming with it. So. All right, so just.
South is optimal, you can still use east-west.
Oh yeah, sorry, south's optimal, but the only difference by using east-west is potentially that you just add a couple of panels to bring up the yield to the same as the south. That's all it is. But look, if your house is east-west and you have room in the roof for east-west system, yeah, you might have to pay for an extra 2 or 3 panels. But hey, look, in the long run, it's nothing. It's pennies. When you base it over the lifetime of the system. All right.
What's the rule of thumb in terms of investment versus how long it takes to pay for itself?
So it's kind of boils down to what your usage is. Do you know what I mean? A wee bit.
Paying what, about 175 a month in electricity at the minute?
Yeah. So it kind of the lower the usage, yes, your repayment time is going to be pushed out a wee bit because you're lower usage. But on the flip side of that, if you do put in a system designed appropriately to that spend, you still will be within even though it's a lower spend, you might just push it out to about 7 years. But typically, most systems are within the 5 to 6 year realm. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's just if the bills are a wee bit lower, depending on your design and your battery, it might stretch to 7, 7.5. Do you know what I mean?
Any house with a heat pump will be 5 years or
Yeah, yeah.
slightly less maybe, but you'd
Yeah.
always be saying 5 years.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Houses with heat pumps for sure. It's 5 to 5.5 years. I mean, because of the running costs and everything's moving over to electric, and you're doing away with the oil and all of that. I mean, but it's just on a domestic standard house without anything. If it's low bills, it will be pushed out a wee bit. That's the only downside. I
Can
mean,
you keep your oil system in tandem?
yeah, if you wanted to, it's not a problem. Like I mean, you know, so yeah.
Just if it's a particularly cold winter or something like that? No?
What do you mean?
Well, sorry, I'm not explaining myself fully. So if you had a geothermal system,
Yeah,
right, a particularly cold winter,
yeah,
like the -17 we had in 2010,
yeah.
how does that affect it? So
Geothermal?
Yeah.
Doesn't affect it at all.
Right.
The geothermal won't affect it. The geothermal will still operate at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how well the house holds the heat at that point. If it was early water, it's working with -10, -17 outside, where you've still 10 degrees in the ground. So there's 20 degrees of a difference there. So if you've -10 outside, that air source heat pump's working very, very hard. If we go back 5 months or thereabouts, that frosty weather we had at the start of January, it was -5, -6, -7 places. There was people was out with a hose trying to get the ice off their heat pump because it wasn't working correctly, couldn't heat the houses. But geothermal just sails on through.
All right. So, any other questions on the solar there? Just before we.
One small thing to keep in mind on the solar is coming under regulation, the sooner the better, to keep inverters and batteries out of attics. 2 reasons: they do get very warm. The second reason, from a maintenance point of view, and going up to look at them and maintain them. You do have it in your phone, but they still need to be looked at. Again, back to, I've harped on about it a bit, is the design of the plan and making sure you have a plan room to hold everything, is to make sure that you have somewhere maybe within the house that you have your inverter and battery. It is regulation in the UK. Ireland always follows suit. It is coming. The sooner the better, from a health and safety point of view, for both the workers and the house.
So it happens by the location?
Yeah.
Can you have the battery in the plant room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's about the size. Like you can't cram it. I mean, you know. So yeah, it's about the size. As long as it's adequate, no problem. I mean, yeah. All right. So look, we're